what I'm going to invite you to do in just a moment, just lay your hands, so yeah, okay, so they're comfortable there. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to lift that hand up and hold it up in front of you, like that. So just do that, hold it up in front of you, yeah, thumb aloft. And I want you to look at that thumb there. And as you look at that thumb there, I'd like you to notice the tiny movements, yeah. Already, there's tiny movements, because I'm going to invite you to hand it over to your unconscious. So you've got a conscious mind, and you also have an unconscious mind. So as you sit here listening to me, yeah, those movements continue, sure. And it's interesting, what I'm going to invite your unconscious to do is to select something, some piece of work that would be valuable and appropriate for you to work on in a trance state. Now, I'm not going to invite you to do this consciously. I'm going to invite your unconscious to select that certain something to work on. And you may not even know consciously what it is, but your unconscious will know. And if your unconscious is willing to do this, I'd like it to signal yes by beginning to lower that hand slowly towards your right leg. And if no, then it will rise up. And that hand will not touch that leg until the appropriate level of trance has been reached and the appropriate piece of work to do has been chosen. So yeah, as you continue to pay attention to that thumb there and notice your breathing in and out as it continues to move down. You can just, yeah, hand it over to your unconscious. That's right. And you might even want to close your eyes and allow yourself, yeah, to engage fully with the process. That's right. And I'll talk to these guys as you do that. Now, did you notice, as AJ was sitting there looking at his thumb, looking at that thumb there out in front of him, that there were sort of like movements like that? This is one of the great things about it. You'll see those movements. You know, I challenge anyone to hold their thumb out and keep it completely still. It's just not going to happen, so there's always something to notice. And then what I did as AJ made those little movements and so on, or noticed those little movements, I would just comment on them. And what I'm going to suggest is I'm going to say, AJ, you will not find yourself taking a deeper breath and returning to consciousness until that piece of work has been completed for now. So I'm saying that he's going to remain in that trance until such time as that piece of work has been completed, at least for now. And that when it's time for him to come out of that trance state, that he'll know that because he will notice that a deeper breath has been taken, a deeper, longer breath. And so we can just continue to talk and chat and engage while he's doing that. Isn't that interesting? So the idea that you have a conscious mind, you also have an unconscious. And so this idea of handing it over to the unconscious. Now in the language I used the language of dissociation. So I said, I want you to raise that hand up and look at that thumb there. I didn't invite him to look at his thumb. I said, look at that thumb there. And notice as that hand notice the tiny movements that it makes. And then yes, I acknowledge them the moment that they happen. And as that hand there begins to move, and so on and so forth. And I said to him very specifically, I don't want your conscious mind to do this. So I was saying to him, you don't have to do this consciously. In fact, I want to really let him know that his conscious mind is off the hook, so to speak, in terms of having to do any of this stuff. I'm really inviting his unconscious to come to the fore, to deal with what's immediately in front of him. Is a form of language I might have used if I'd thought of it. So AJ is going to take all the time he needs to process that. And we'll know when he's completed that processing, because he'll take a deeper, longer breath. Now, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but what are some of your thoughts and ideas as we look at this process and we engage in this process? What are some of the things you guys are thinking about? Well, I don't know. And when AJ's back, sort of back in the room, so to speak, as Kenny Craig would say, you're back in the room. Yeah. We can ask him. Certainly, my own experience, a lot of the time when I'm in a trance state, is I can still hear stuff going on around me. It's not like I'm, being coshed or anything like that. I can still hear stuff going on around me, but it's sometimes a little bit background. That's right. Sometimes a little bit background, or I'm more absorbed in something that's going on the inside. But we can certainly ask AJ about that when he comes back out. What else? What are some of your other ideas?
I just think that's right. Just that I saw something happen and responded, but it was beyond my consciousness to being what it was.
I noticed that AJ took a deeper, slightly explosive breath. I went, and so I was just letting him know that I'd noticed that. Because one of the things when it comes to doing hypnotic work is the kind of message I send to people when I'm doing hypnotic work is something along the lines of, I'll take care of what's going on out here so that you can feel free to attend to what's going on the inside. And so I want AJ to know that I'm noticing the stuff that's going on. Now, on another level, this is no different from if we're doing a piece of work and I'm introducing the group or whatever, and we hear a fire engine go up by outside or a door slam, I'll comment on it, because it's just incorporating, a process of incorporating what everyone's hearing. It's a way of letting you guys know, it's okay, I'm comfortable with this, I know what's going on, and I'm letting you guys know that I've noticed. So AJ's taking deeper breaths now.
Does everybody stay on the chair?
Well, if anyone were to ever topple off, I'd grab them, but I've never had anyone topple off. And this is an interesting thing. On the one hand, a person's going into an altered state, and it can seem like they don't know what's going on. But in fact, the unconscious is, taking care to ensure that everything's, being done appropriately. And that includes staying on the chair. So for instance, I remember, let me see if I can remember, there was a case where they were hypnotizing people, trance subjects, to walk across a room and to negatively hallucinate a chair that was in the middle of the room. And so the interesting thing is they could tell when someone was faking or not, because the person who was faking would walk across the room and stumble into the chair. The people who were actually in a trance state and negatively hallucinated the chair would walk across the room, swerve around the chair, then when asked about the chair, they'd say, "What chair?" Because it wasn't there. But their unconscious wasn't about to have them stumble into something that wasn't there, because that would make them, be an issue with their sense of reality. So, what are some of your other thoughts about this process of, welcome back. And if you like, you can just close your eyes again and allow yourself to reorient to the here and now just a little more slowly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so pleased to meet you. Now, look at your hand and notice the changing focus in your eyes as you take a deep breath, then close your eyes and allow yourself to go all the way down. Just allow your eyes to close or stay open. It's all the same to me. And one of the things you may be able to find as you start to allow yourself to go deeper and deeper, deeper into trance, is that you feel your hand being attracted towards your face. It's strange. It's almost as though there's a rubber band pulling the palm of your hand, which is where there's an idea beginning to form. So as you continue to allow yourself to go deeper, you can allow your unconscious to take control of your hand and start to move that hand slowly and comfortably towards your face. And you can take all the time you want to do this. Just allow yourself to, as that idea continues to form in the palm of your hand, your unconscious can slowly and comfortably move your hand step by step
almost one neuron at a time towards your face. And at the moment that your hand touches your face, that idea is going to explode into your consciousness in a way that allows you to feel amazing from the top of your head to the tip of your nose and beyond. So just enjoy the process of becoming curious about just how long that's going to take and about just how good that's going to feel as you allow yourself to explore more deeply and in new ways the different possibilities that your unconscious has available for you. Because your unconscious is very, very powerful. Your unconscious has everything that you're ever going to need in terms of resources and ideas, possibilities and opportunities, everything just waiting for you to step into that amazing possibility that you can enjoy every aspect of your experience and that you're learning at an incredible rate. And while it's doing that, you can allow your unconscious to integrate all the learnings of these 2 days at every level in your neurology in such a way that in the days and weeks ahead, the learnings just suddenly appear as though they'd come unbidden from deep within your nervous system. And you'll suddenly find yourself doing things that you didn't even realize you could do and enjoying the process of doing it quickly and easily. And the more you look forward to that, the more enjoyably your hand can move slowly towards your face or as quickly as you want to in anticipation of the moment when your hand touches your face and those ideas and learnings explode into your mind. And I'm happy for that to take as long as you want it to now. And I'm going to talk to these guys while you continue that process of learning, ensuring that only the most positive suggestions that I've given you get used, and anything that's not entirely useful for you, you can just ignore and continue to enjoy the process, Adam. Now, what I did there, well, we'll just let Adam keep processing, was I took a basic motor program, which is a handshake. Now, in the West, we've all done handshakes so many times that it's become automatic. It's what they call unconscious competence. So it's gone from being something that had a number of different steps to it, something that you followed conscious steps to do, to becoming a single unit of behavior that's operated by your unconscious. The thing with that is, if you interrupt it in the middle of it, you then have a window of opportunity where you can take someone's unconscious somewhere different, which is what I've done with Adam. And so it's a great way of getting someone to go into a trance. And the key is to do it respectfully. So have you guys ever had the experience of when someone goes to shake your hand, then goes like this? It feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? That's because they've interrupted the pattern, but then not taken you somewhere more useful. When you interrupt the pattern, you have a small space, maybe between, I don't know, 0.1 of a second and half a second to take someone somewhere different. And if you do, they'll go with you because the operational control has been handed over to the unconscious mind. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so basically you have that window that you can then get into and go somewhere different. That's right. You can enjoy that process. And only join us back here in the room when you're ready, Adam. Now there are all kinds of patterns that you can interrupt, but what we're going to play with is the world famous handshake interrupt. Milton Erickson described a handshake interrupt in one of his collected works, papers. And there's a question over whether Erickson actually ever did this kind of, Bandler said he actually invented this kind of pattern interrupt. That's right, Adam. Bandler said he invented this sort because, of course, Milton's hand was not that operational a lot of the time. And allow yourself to come back into the room slowly and comfortably as you integrate these learnings at whatever rate and speed is right for you, Adam. So this is the That's Right exercise. You can do it in groups of 3, A, B, and C. And step 1 is that A believes the following things to be true about you. You're a superb hypnotic subject. You are totally resourceful. You can change easily.
Now, how does A go about believing those things? Well, they just pretend that they're true. You guys can all pretend, right? You make believe that the other person is a superb hypnotic subject, that they're totally resourceful, and that they can change easily. A then makes a mental image of B going into a trance, whatever that means, and asks their unconscious to hold the picture as a goal. Okay? So what would someone look like if they're going into a trance? Well, let's choose A and B. You're A, you're B, I'm C. What would someone look like if they're going into a trance? Do you suppose? So relaxed.
Just, you know, sat in the seat, well into the seat.
Uh-huh. Eyes open or eyes closed, do you think?
Closed.
Yeah, maybe closed eyes. Maybe, you know, symmetrical facial muscles. Maybe drooling out of a... well, breathing, deep breath, slow breath. Sure. Okay, so A, B, C. So A makes a mental picture of B going into a trance. So you imagine Eric going into, or actually in a trance. Can you imagine him like that? Okay, so that's your goal. Now your job in this is to sit there. It says step 3, B sits there. So that's there, you're B, so there you are. Then whenever B does anything that's moving towards your representation of trance, you say, that's right. You might like to look at him with a meaningful gaze that lets him know that... And C, that's me, observes the relationship developing. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll see. When C recognizes that A and B are in a hypnotic relationship, C starts and continues to nod. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, just to recap, Matt's going to believe about Eric, you're a superb hypnotic subject, you're totally resourceful, and you can change easily. I got this exercise from Overdurf and Silverthorne's really cool book, Training Trances, which I highly recommend. So Matt's made the picture of Eric going into a trance. Eric's sitting there. Whenever Eric does anything, and I mean anything, that's moving in the right direction. So what could be moving in the right direction? What's something that could be moving towards your representation of it?
Slow his breathing.
Sure, if he slows his breathing, you're going to say,
That's right.
that's right. Have you got him with his eyes closed,
Yeah.
as trance? So what does someone do regularly blinking. So if he blinks, that's right. Yeah. And when I see the hypnotic relationship developing, I'm going to start nodding. So, go.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Now, as Matt continues to say that's right, the interesting thing about this is that, of course, Matt's communicating with Eric's conscious mind, but simultaneously, he's communicating with the unconscious mind. And it's interesting, because one of the things that Eric's doing at a conscious level is, there we go,
That's right.
not blinking.
That's right.
And yet,
That's right.
and stop. So, what did you guys notice doing that?
I think, well, the breathing started to synchronise, and then I was
Yeah.
starting to space out as well. But
Interesting. What did you notice, Derek?
I noticed he was getting more entranced than I was. His physiology was changing more than mine was. I was just sitting here, But then every now and again he'd smile because he'd never smile, then that would just go, and then he'd feel himself going, and then he'd catch himself and bring himself back.
Well, it's interesting. One of my top tips for doing trance work with people and any kind of state-oriented work with people is go there first yourself. Wherever you want to take someone else, go there first yourself. And if you just get into rapport with, if you're with someone, if you get into rapport with them and then just drop into a trance, they'll start to go into one too. Oh, this would be a fun one with you, Shirley. Shirley. Look. Now, here's the thing. There's some people that just need to go right into a trance. And I don't know if you're one of those people. But we'll soon find out. That's right. That's right. Yeah. You can just close your eyes and relax. Take a deep breath. That's right. And just let go. Because it can be so enjoyable just to go into a trance for no good reason at all, except that as you hear the traffic going by outside, and the different things happening in the room, you can feel your breathing out. It's so good just to relax. To let your unconscious do the work for a while and allow your conscious mind to have a bit of a daydream, a bit of a vacation for a little while, to allow your unconscious to make certain changes on the inside that can allow you to really enjoy the process of really absorbing the learnings of these 2 days at the deepest levels in ways that can surprise and delight you going forward. Because your conscious mind, that's right, it's enjoyable to learn in a conscious way, but your unconscious can also learn in a variety of ways that you may not even be consciously aware of. So as you sit here listening to me, you can let your unconscious search through all the most positive experiences that you've had in your life, all the resources, all the possibilities that are there for you, and choose some cocktail of those resources and possibilities and experiences to delight you with. It might present you with those as you prepare to open your eyes in a few moments, or it might wait and then surprise you later on. I don't know how your unconscious is going to choose to do this. But what I'd like your unconscious also to do is integrate all the learnings of the past 2 days at every level in your neurophysiology, taking all the time it needs to do this. And you can come back to the here and now only when your unconscious lets you know that that process is complete. And when you do, you can do so with a sense of enjoyment and relaxation and refreshment, looking forward to learning whatever else it is that you're going to learn this afternoon. And I'll speak to these guys while you're completing that process. So that's really just a matter of kind of sort of bullying someone into a trance in a way. Not bullying them, but, you know, just really knowing that it's going to happen. And then, you know, looking at them with an intensity of gaze. And to amp it up, I'll also breathe at the same rate as them and then drop myself into a trance. And if someone's breathing at the same rate as you and looking into your eyes in a very direct way, it's pretty difficult to avoid going into a trance when that's happening, in my experience. Would you not agree, Nigel?
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah. And so it's one of the ways that you can do it. Welcome back. What was your experience of that?
Well, it was interesting actually because I could hear what you were saying, and I kept trying to make sense of what you were saying, and then I was just like, let it go. Can't be bothered.
Good.
You know, so there was this sort of, you know, and then at the end, when you said, you know, and you can open your eyes and all, I was thinking, so I've got to open my eyes now. But I couldn't open my eyes, you know.
Well, the instruction I gave that you would
Yeah.
open your eyes only when your unconscious gave you the
Yes.
signal to do so.
So,
And the unconscious kind of gets
open
it.
your eyes, and I thought, well, I can't.
At the beginning, when I was talking about the conscious and the unconscious,
Some of you may have noticed I talked about that whenever I talked about the conscious mind, I made a gesture up here and used this sort of voice tone. And then whenever I said, you're unconscious, I gestured down here and used this voice tone. After I do that 5 or 6 times, and after talking about you're unconscious, because you're unconscious is a suggestion, isn't it? What do you think happens to someone if you say you're unconscious to them 100 times? They start to dribble. Yeah. Now here, so I didn't say it 100 times to you guys, just about 20 times to establish a communications layer so that I can communicate with your unconscious. So you know, at an unconscious level, whenever I'm using this tone of voice, I'm talking to your conscious mind, but whenever I'm using this tone of voice, I'm talking to your unconscious. And the cool thing about that is, I don't even have to do the gestures. I can just use the voice tone. And you probably start to become a bit spaced out. Just a little. I haven't amped it up big time. Just a little bit spaced out. Is anyone noticing that? Yeah. Whereas when I'm using this voice tone, immediately you start to become more alert and more, into that different space. And the cool thing is, whenever I'm delivering embedded commands, whether it's feel good or you're amazing or you can do this or you can master your language skills or you can buy all my cards, whatever it might be, just that gesture lets your unconscious know that I'm suggesting this to your unconscious because your unconscious has incredible wisdom. So I'm trusting that your unconscious can make decisions about what's good for you, about what messages are appropriate to take on. Anything I say that's not appropriate, I know that your unconscious is clever enough to just say, nope, and just chuck that stuff out.
So Brian, Jason, so you just sit there on the chairs and just allow yourself to make yourself comfortable before you do this. I'd like to invite, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the same invitation to these guys at the front of the room, but I'd like you guys to notice everything you can notice going on for them. Notice the things that you can notice on the outside. Guys, I'd like to invite your unconscious minds to give you an honest, involuntary unconscious signal, a yes signal. I don't want you to do this consciously. I want you to create the space for your unconscious to signal. And just allow yourself to become aware of any thoughts, any sensations, any movements, anything at all. And it may take 10, 20, 30 seconds. It might even take a minute before you notice something. That's right. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so, and then just come back to the here and now. So what kind of things did you guys notice? Breathing slowed down. Did you notice what I was saying thank you to? So with Brian, what did you notice? There was like a big full body kind of, yeah. With Jason, what did you notice? Yeah, thumb twitch, beep. So and I said thank you to those. And just relax again. I'd like to invite your unconscious, so we thank you for those signals. And I'd like to invite your unconscious just to repeat those signals. Those honest, unconscious, involuntary signals. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So we got both of those. Jason's wasn't quite as big that time, but it was still noticeable. I don't know if you noticed it. Did you notice it?
Well, I've got short space.
Did you guys notice it? Yeah. Yeah. So now that's interesting. So that's establishing honest unconscious signals and just saying thank you to let the unconscious know, I really appreciate having that signal. And this is something we're going to use tomorrow, but I really wanted to offer it up to you guys this afternoon because it connects so much with the things we've been doing and this idea that you have a conscious mind and you have an unconscious mind which is capable of doing its own processing. Thanks, guys.
But let me show you something. Who's big and strong? You look pretty big and strong, Nigel. Can I do a demonstration? Oh, actually, no. Big and strong and maybe a bit skeptical. Alan, could I borrow you for a second? If you could stand at the front of the room for a second. Now, what I'd like you to do is I want you to put your arm out to the side, out this way, and I'm going to push down, and I want you to resist as hard as you can. Okay? So really resist. Okay, now I'm not pushing as hard as I can, but I'm pushing pretty hard. Okay, that's great. Now what I'd like you to do, and put your arm down, is I'd like you to imagine that you're very, very weak, just for purposes of this experiment and just for the next couple of minutes. So I want you to say to yourself inside your mind, I'm very, very weak, and I want you to say it in a weak voice. And I want you to feel weak in your body, really feel that sense of weakness. And just say it about 10 times. And really pretend that you are weak. And then put your arm out. And I want you to try as hard as you can to resist me as I push down, okay? Really try. Really, no, proper, come on. No, come on, I want a proper. Put your arm out. Now really, give it a good go. Put your arm all the way up and really, you can pretend you're strong. You can try it if you like. But it's interesting, isn't it? Now really try. Stop mucking about. Put your arm out. Okay, now shake that off. The whole thing. Of your whole body. Now I want you to imagine that you're strong, really strong. Like say it to yourself. And I want you to say it in a really strong voice. So say, I'm strong. And literally feel the strength like you've got, like your feet are roots growing into the ground and there's light pouring out of the sky and into your arms and you can like feel the strength in the sinews and muscles and tendons of your body. Really feel that strength. Okay, and then put your arm out. And I want you to resist. Now here's the thing. If it's possible to do that in like 30 seconds, what do you think the result of going, oh, I'm not bad, I'm okay, oh, mustn't grumble, for 30 years is? And so what do you think would be different if, not suggesting that any of you should do this, but if a person was to start going, I'm amazing, I'm wonderful, anything's possible for me. I'm cleverer than I think I am. I can do whatever I set my mind to. And start saying that sort of thing to themselves on a regular basis. Because almost everyone out there is saying something to themselves. And it's going to be on one side of the line or the other.